Bad O-line's running for his life. What did the Bears fix? The O-line. J.J. McCarthy has thrown over 30 times once at Michigan. I have no idea if he's good. They've never asked him to win games. They asked him not to lose them. Again, it's hard. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, to his credit, said, I don't know if this guy can play, but we're going to give him a fighting chance. Drew Dahlman at center, Joe Tooney. Apparently this Boston College tackle is...
he looks dominant already, huh?
He has been dominant in the 3-day rookie camp.
It's May, and he looks dominant. Some rookie that you didn't know last week. I'm just saying.
Okay. I don't understand where so much of the doubt comes about the Chicago Bears.
My biggest guess. And I think if you're looking for number 2, the Bears, who you love, that schedule is daunting, okay? Especially on the road. Keep an eye on the Bears.
Yeah. That was the other part that Listen, I'm not pretending like the Bears have this easy path to 12 wins, 13 wins, and it's just, the rest is history here, but it's so interesting to me. It is. This is what makes sports so awesome, honestly. Because I talk about this a lot. Throughout the season, I talk about how, for pretty much, every game, every year, every season, every matchup, you can pretty much just say the same thing again and again and again. Oh, you got to run the ball more. You got to protect the quarterback. You got to get that first down. There's 3 minutes left in the game. You got to convert that third down. We could just say the same thing. Oh, the defense has to be better. You can't give up a touchdown in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go when you're down by 3. You just can't, whatever it is. We could just say the same thing again and again. Oh my God, it hit your hands. If it hits your hands, you got to catch the ball. What are we doing? So-and-so has to do a better job at blocking. It's just the same thing, They got no pressure on the quarterback. He had all day back there. And it can be so repetitive. It can. And honestly, as someone who talks about this stuff, it gives me some angst, kind of it's just kind of aren't we all just having the same conversation again and again and again, week to week to week, and the way how some people get by it is they just pretend like they can make predictions, right? They build their whole persona about being right and how everyone's wrong and making strong predictions. And, and that's not the approach that I want to go through. So it's how do we have these, grounded conversations without constantly going in circles? And, on one side, I'm kind of why are people doubting the Chicago Bears so much now? But I'm actually happy they are in a lot of ways, because it's interesting to me. It adds intrigue to me, because last season, everybody was so high on the Chicago Bears. It was, you had so many people who were really building that momentum up. And I understand why and all of that. And it probably got a little bit definitely got too out of control when you have people like Nick Wright saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl and, all of that stuff. And it's just, now this year, when I feel that there's all the reason in the world to be optimistic about this Bears team and what they can achieve, I see pushback around every single bend, right? Around every single corner. I see pushback. And it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me how last season people could be so pro the Chicago Bears, but yet they have an inferior roster last year compared to this year, an inferior coach, and a brand new deer in headlights rookie quarterback. And yet people were so high on them. Now this year, they have a better roster, a better coaching staff. They can actually protect the quarterback. They should actually be able to run the ball. They have even more weapons than they had last year. And their quarterback undeniably will be better. He's not going to go get worse than he was last year. And he wasn't terrible last year. So at a minimum, he'll be the same. To think that he's going to go even backwards with a better coach, that just doesn't actually make any sense, right? You can't convince me that Caleb will somehow be worse in his second year than he was his first year. You're just not going to convince me of that at all. And so yeah, it's just interesting, and that's what keeps it fresh. That's what makes sports undefeated. Where it's like one year everyone's like, oh, Chicago Bears, they're gonna go to the Super Bowl, and Caleb's gonna be the MVP, and then it doesn't happen, which is interesting. And then we talk about it, and now this year I'm like thinking to myself, oh, the Bears should be a great team. They should be awesome. I love them. I love every single move they made, like literally every single move they made. And now it's like, nah, I don't know. They're not gonna be good. We're gonna flip on them. Like J Mac thinks, I guess he would say, I think Colin is going to flip on some of his predictions this week. And he thinks that the 49ers will lose a division and miss the playoffs. I think he thinks that they'll be last in the division. And Colin now also believes that the Chicago Bears, I think, will be the 7th seed in the playoffs. They'll sneak into the playoffs, and they'll be the I think second place in the division. And so J-Mac's pretty much saying, you're going to flip. You're going to say that the 49ers will be great and that the Bears are not going to be. And that's just hard for me to see. It really is. I mean, I don't want to go through the schedule all over again because we've already done that now a couple times. But I mean, okay, we know the Detroit Lions. Yes. We know the Green Bay Packers. Yes. We know the Minnesota Vikings. Great. Glad we got that taken care of. Now you got the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely a winnable game. Now you got the New York Giants, absolutely a winnable game. Now you got the Cleveland Browns, absolutely a winnable game. Now you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, absolutely a winnable game. Now you got the New Orleans Saints, absolutely a winnable game. Detroit Lions again, glad we figured that out. Green Bay Packers, oh, they're playing the Minnesota Vikings? I had no idea. Baltimore Ravens, absolutely a tough game. Cincinnati Bengals, I do believe will be a tough game. The Raiders, winnable game. They'll be better, but winnable game. Philadelphia Eagles, tough game. No denying that. 49ers, again, that's going to be, that'll actually be a fun game. I actually just made a whole argument about Brock Purdy and Caleb Williams. Nick Wright thinks that this is like a top 10 storyline matchup. I don't 100% agree with that, but I said that I still think it's going to be a fun and a great game to watch and still will be exciting. But I think I think both teams will see that as a winnable game. And depending on when the schedule, where they're actually playing each other, within the schedule, we'll see how much it matters. Are they both fighting for a wild card seed? I hope this is a game that's in like week 15 or week 16 where it's really like, oh, the winner of this game puts them, in the driver's seat. But I also think the Bears can win the division, to be clear. But if not, if you're fighting for a wild card spot, then this would be a significantly more exciting game. Commanders, again, I've already talked about this game a lot. Like, this is at the top of my list as one of the most exciting games next season. So, it's just to me, that's just going to be box office, and I'm not even really going to waste much more time talking about that game. But should in theory be a winnable game for sure. And then, there you have it. So these are all I shouldn't say they're all winnable games, but the games that I went through, like this is, again, there's absolutely some tough games there, like no denying it. I mean, the Commanders will be a tough game. The Eagles, tough game. Ravens, Bengals, those are tough games, but welcome to the NFL, man. Do you think your season's just going to be stacked with just nothing but last place teams? And you're in a tough division, so those games will be tough, right? I think that's totally fair. And there's reason to believe that the Packers could take a big step forward. That the Lions will still be a great team, and that the Vikings can still be a great team. Like you can find those arguments. But I still think, though, then if we can make the argument that, hey, you know what, the Vikings were a really good team last season, and JJ McCarthy will have success, so hey, you know what, that's going to be a tough game. And if you say, you know what, the Packers, yeah, they were a little inconsistent last year, but I liked what they did in the draft, and they got another wide receiver, and, Jordan Love is going to be his third year now as a starter. I think he's going to be able to really take a step forward, and him and Matt LaFleur are going to get some momentum going. The Detroit Lions have been a great team for the last couple of years or so. Their defense is going to be healthy. They're going to be a better team, and, Dan Campbell is going to have that team rolling. Okay, let's say all those things are true. Why are we so confident saying all of those three things are true? But then when it's time to get to the Chicago Bears, we're like, they got problems. What about their O-line? What about Caleb Williams? What about Ben Johnson? I don't understand, right? We can't say all of these other confident kind of leaps of faith, so to speak. But then when we get to the Chicago Bears, we're like, I don't know. And it's like, you have more confidence that J.J. McCarthy will be successful in his first year as a starter than Caleb Williams in his second year starting. Like, I don't understand. You're confident that the Packers will be able to like take a step forward and be more consistent, but you're not confident that the Chicago Bears, they have no room to take a step forward. Like, I struggle to see it. You don't think that you're confident that the Detroit Lions won't take a step back, losing both their coordinators, but then in the same breath, you're then confident that the Chicago Bears can't take a step forward by hiring a new head coach, Ben Johnson. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And I know it's such a popular view to say Ben Johnson has never been a head coach. And I get it. I think it's fair. And that's why I say it's fair to be skeptical and concerned and question it. But I don't see where it's fair to jump to doubt, right? You could say, you know what? I've never seen Ben Johnson be a head coach. I have some concerns. You know, it's a question mark. Can he handle it? Will he be successful? That's totally fair because we've never seen it. So to anyone who tries to tell you that you shouldn't, you know, question or you know, have any concerns about it, that's fake confidence, right? That's not real confidence. That's just my hopes and dreams and thoughts and feelings. But when you jump to doubt, if you're going to doubt, you kind of have to give me better reasons why. You have to give me concrete, logical reasons why you believe Ben Johnson won't be a great head coach or just a good head coach or a decent head coach. Again, can he become Andy Reid? No idea. But like, are we saying that he's going to be like Staley or something? Like, you know, like he's just going to be a coach that's just going to be there for a couple of years and just be like out of here? I mean, you know, I don't see that necessarily happening. The only way I really see that potentially happening is if Caleb Williams really is a mess, which is technically a possibility too. We have to see him play for 2, 3, 4, 5 years to really be like, okay, he's got this going now, you know. And if not, that becomes a completely different conversation. And I'm just not going to sit here and try to predict or try to even assume or try to even, you know, lean in the direction of like, Caleb Williams is going to be a terrible quarterback and Ben Johnson's going to struggle being a head coach. And when you have a terrible quarterback and you have a coach who's terrible or who's struggling to be a head coach, they're just going to implode. And then boom, you know, better luck in 5 years from now, you know, draft a new quarterback and hire a new coach. Like, we're just taking too many leaps for that, and it's just, you know, it's leaps in the wrong direction that I need to see more reason for that, quite frankly. You got to give me more evidence and you know, instill a deeper belief that that's like actually where it's going to go, because now it just feels like, you know, it's in style to kind of doubt the Chicago Bears, which is funny because, like I said, about literally exactly a year ago, it was just all like, man, this is going to be easy. Like Nick Wright literally said, the NFL is going to be easy for Caleb Williams. And I laughed out loud when he said that. I was just like, this is, you know, what an insane take to say that, you know, the NFL is going to be easy for anyone, right? And so that was always where everybody kind of just went a little too extreme and all of that. But now I feel as though the doubt on the other side now is getting too strong. People are acting like Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are just a bunch of nobodies, that Caleb Williams was like an absolute disaster. And just, you know who was an absolute disaster? AR. If Caleb Williams looked like AR with the Colts, then we could talk. Because then I could be like, yeah, you know, Ben Johnson is a great coach. I still don't know if you know, if Caleb's going to work. But like in one season with the Bears, pretty much every single game that Caleb Williams played was better than every single game AR has ever played. I don't care what the box score said. I don't care about any of that. Like, I mean, like there was even AR has had some pretty wild highlights. Like, he's had some, honestly, to be fair, he has a couple plays that you're like, I've never seen something so amazing in my entire life. Like, it's pretty incredible. But like when you actually watch like the whole game as a whole, you're like, oh my God, I don't really know what this is. Like, how do you make this work? You know, if Caleb looked like that, then I could understand like the true skepticism. You know, I can get that being the foundation. But when you look at how Caleb played, it was so far from perfect, undeniably. And you could not say Caleb was great last season. I concede that. Like, I totally can you know, accept that. But like, you can't take it to the extreme and be like, he's a bust. he's a bum, he's not good, he's not worth it to be a starting quarterback. And it's like, that's where we just wholeheartedly disagree. So I'm just, it's I still get so stuck in these conversations. Right now, I'm definitely going through a period where it's just like, oh my God, it's May, and I keep, it's like one of those things where you wake up from a dream, and it's that first feeling where you feel like it's actually real, where you're kind of like, oh my God, like, I did get back together with that person, or I did make a lot of money. You're like, oh no, it was a dream. And like, that's what it feels like right now with some of these storylines that are coming out, and some of the hype of the teams, where I'm just like, oh yes, we're ready, and it feels like the Bears are going to play like next week or next month, and man, we got time. And so that's been happening with a lot of my takes recently. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears? Do you believe, I kind of want to ask this question. I want to back ourselves in a corner for this one. I don't normally do this, but I am curious. And you can answer the question however you want and comment however you want. But if you had to pick, do you think it's more fair to be more skeptical of the Bears' success, or more optimistic of the Bears' success going into this season? If it's a spectrum, like, where do you think it would be more appropriate to land on that? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.